And moving away from worms, we're going to take a look at the flesh borer. Now, the flesh borer itself is actually a compact brood nest for borer beetles to lay their eggs. The larvae that hatch are actually sustained by the weapon for future use as ammunition. They are kept in their mature state in a hormone-induced dormancy until the weapon is fired. The beetle itself loses very little again until the weapon is triggered by a massive electrochemical shock, which drives the beetle into a sudden frenzied action of activity. Using their powerful flea-like legs, they launch themselves out of the weapon at tremendous speed. The beetle itself, upon striking the target, will frenziedly bore through the target's armor, flesh, and bone. They also secrete a potent digestive enzyme upon impact with a target, aiding for the penetration of armor and flesh.
Okay, the Tyranids like using bug weapons. The flesh burrow is the natural evolution to all the previous creatures. You have the muscle strength of the Death Spitter or the Barbed Strangler combined with the devouring traits of both into a single weapon. This weapon is a beetle. Why a beetle? Because when beetles are electrocuted, they spasm out and go into a frenzy because they are experiencing extreme brain death while their muscles are being told to do everything they possibly can and go in every single direction due to the exoskeletal structure's conductivity combined with the unique nervous system possessed by the beetles. This means that the creature, before it makes its sudden extreme leap, is already dead. The electrical shock has killed it. What it's doing past this point is sheer instinct to get away from the stimulation by any means necessary. What we are seeing is the beetle's death throws cranked up to 200 plus and then let loose upon some unsuspecting target. The digestive enzyme, insane teeth, and frenzied state have all been explained here with the previous creatures. They've just now taken all that DNA and put it into one critter. Damn, Future. You got some scary, scary bioweapons.
Indeed. So, moving away from bugs a little bit, the Impaler Cannon will be looking just massive spikes now, it seems. Now, the Impaler Cannon fires bony spikes as long as a man is tall at velocities high enough to rupture plasteel or battle tanks. At the base of each spine is a small parasitic creature that feeds off the blood vessels within the spine. As the spine itself is launched, the parasite's own internal organs are torn from its body and, in its last few moments of life, use its membranous fins to steer the spine towards its target.
Okay. I hate to be short with this one, but the weapon is simple at this point except one thing: growing bone spines to fire. They would literally take months to grow for any creature on Earth, even with something with the fastest known metabolic rate, which is a single-celled organism not designed to grow massive amounts of bone. It would take nearly a week to grow one. These creatures would not have been created at the time of invasion, but would have had to have been created well in advance and maintained as such, so they would continually produce the bone spines and work to make them more of them to fire if the rest of their body is kept dormant. This assumes that there's not some other creature that's growing these bone spines, and that's that sole creature's job. Keeping this in mind, that means the dozens, if not 50 plus things that tyrants and Hiveguard fire would already have been created well before the invasion. The shard beast inside the spine is actually under the belief that in its last few moments of life it's steering towards safety, away from the pain it's been given by having most of its insides torn out by the cannon. There is no creature on Earth with this type of relationship, nor with insect wings generally strong enough to steer or stabilize anything the size of a bone spine. However, if they were evolved from, say, birds or a flying lizard, then yes, it is possible they would be strong enough to act as fin stabilization for the Tyranid version of a discarding Sabo. I'm talking about pterodactyls, not dragons. Don't get your hopes up.
Speaking of going prehistoric, the Wrecking Ball. Now, this is a biomorph utilized on larger species such as Carnifexes. It's essentially, like its name implies, a massive wrecking ball of muscle, bone, and chitin utilized to basically smash anything it hits.
Who likes dinosaurs?
I know I do.
Algiosaurus and Eucephalopithecus are creatures that walk the earth with these hardened, solid bone tails used for battering down trees for food or smashing away predators. Why haven't creatures evolved this in recent times is unknown to me.
Because there's no T-Rexes walking around.
I mean, that's a good point. There's no T-Rexes walking around, but we still have rhinos and elephants, which, while genetically not related, are evolutionarily related to Triceratops, with their tusks and horns to defend themselves against predators and prove dominance. Creatures such as this could deliver in excess of 3 tons of force with their tails that weighed an average of 70 kilos of pure hardened bone. The bone density of these creatures is near absolute, with 0 to no fissures or bone marring to speak of. These would create potential issues for, if it had any bone marring or fissures, these would create potential issues for the tailbone breaking and therefore losing your primary defense mechanism. Now, if we take into account how much strength one of the maggots can be shot with, a tail given enough room to move and velocity would be delivering 3 times the force of an actual wrecking ball used by a crane. This is because a Tyranid, comparing the tailbone to that of a Tyranid and the actual scale of the creatures, we find has a bone hammer of roughly 4.7 times the size of a modern construction wrecking ball. A modern construction wrecking ball delivers 5,500 or 2,500 pounds or 2,500 kilograms of force when it impacts. Using this, I can determine that with a lower range to build up velocity, with its size and theoretical muscles operating at being nearly twice the strength of the Despitter colon, which would deliver around 1,400 to 1,500 psi, moving at a velocity of roughly 118 meters per second at a full 270-degree swing, with the body of the Carnifex's weight thrown in, it would impact with roughly 7,100 kilograms of force, just shy of 3 wrecking balls. To say ouch, a modern wrecking ball can throw a tank nearly 3 stories in the air and easily flip it over. So this weapon could literally turn a Lehman Russ into a golf ball. The only question I have at this point is, do Carnifexes say 4 when they smash a tank?
Only if they knock it 4 miles into the air, I would assume.
And if it lands in biodigestive juices for the Hive Fleet, is it called a hole-in-one?
Who knows? All we know is that the Carnifexes with the wrecking balls are probably making Ankylosaurus and Yoplocephalus very jealous. So moving on, we're going to take a look at the Venom Cannon. Now, the Venom Cannon fires salvos of crystallized corrosive poison covered in a metallic residue, which is also venomous. They are launched with electrostatic charge at tremendous velocity. A target, if not killed outright by the impact, will be shredded by the hailing shards of shattered crystal and or by the corrosive poison from these crystals. They are also highly effective against vehicle armor, shattering the bulkheads of a tank and killing the crew.
Okay, so I don't mean to beat a dead horse, so we're not. We've already determined how velocity and force of Tyranid weapons can pack, and this thing is just shooting crystals. Not a live organism, just plain old crystals. So, crystals are formed using liquid with pressure over time. You can literally make these in your own house. There's guides on the internet for how to make custom shaped crystals in your own house with household materials. If you take snake venom and crystallize it, all you have to do is heat it back up, turn it back into venom. Whether or not it would still be lethal, I honestly don't know. There are poisonous and potentially lethal crystals out there. They exist. However, would this still be poisonous after you turn it back into a liquid? I am unsure. What I do know is that if it was not entirely crystallized, but there was still liquid inside the center, for instance, then yes, it would still be lethal, because with the moment the crystal cracks, that poison is going to be released, perfectly preserved in an airtight environment. So, if the crystal were fired hard enough and fast enough, which we've already determined the Neds are more than capable to create, then yeah, it could penetrate tank armor, and the corrosive poison elements inside would splatter on the crew and onto their flesh. This weapon is entirely feasible, entirely possible, and we could actually start firing crystals at people today if we deemed it to be effective.
Next up, we have the Stone Crusher Claws. Now, Stone Crusher Claws are found, surprisingly enough, on Stone Crusher Carnifexes. These are designed for urban battles. The Stonecrusher claw is rammed through a wall using the Carnifex's immense strength, and then when the creature pulls backwards, it pulls the entire building down.
Giant crab claws. King crabs are known to be able to pinch hard enough to crush bone in the hands, feet, and fingers. Knowing this, if you ramped up the size to, the size of a Toyota truck, and the muscle strength to, insane, which so far the Tyranids have proven that the muscle strength of insane is actually not that far-fetched. You could create one for a Carnifex using a humpback whale fin muscle, which can move several 100 tons of water effortlessly with a single stroke. Then we know that such a claw of this size would be able to crush a person into pulp. Compress a tank like a trash compactor? Yes, as a claw this large using the humpback whale's strength would apply nearly 200 tons of direct crushing force to everything within its jaws. This would be more than enough to provide enough force to crush a tank like a tin can or any other war machine. So yeah, Stonecrusher, when crabs attack.
Indeed. And the final weapon I'm going to be taking a look at today is the shock cannon. Now, these weapons fire a spine of bone into their targets before delivering a powerful bioelectric shock blast along an attached tendril. In addition to damaging organic prey, the surge is also capable of disabling enemy machinery and electronics.
Attaching a prehistoric giant eel to an impaler cannon. Sure, why not? Tyranids want to turn everything up to 13. That means that this is entirely possible. A knife fish of that size would be able to deliver roughly 20 kilowatts of electrical current directly into whatever it was attached to. This means it would be quite easy for it to fry a human's nervous system, considering that an electrical outlet in the United States outputs 1.2 kilowatts of power at max, and you could kill a person with that easily. Actually, the regular old-fashioned electric eel or knife fish will generate roughly 600 volts of electricity, which will kill an adult human. This weapon would also be able to fly the electrical systems of a vehicle and the crew inside, as illustrated by the T-series of tanks up until the T-90, which were not insulated properly against electrical damage, would fry not only the tank's electronics and engine, but the crew in the event of a lightning strike or running over electrical cables.
Whoops.
It seems as if we went down this list and the Nids just kept taking everything and seeing how much higher past 11 it would be turned.
Indeed, these weapons seem to be the Spinal Tap of 40k weapons, just turn everything up to 11.
Yeah! I can't believe I had to research shark shit for you people.
It's all appreciated, I'm sure. So that wraps things up for this edition of Men at Arms. So join us next time. And this has been Remlace from 40k Theories.
And this has been Fiaura. And, yeah.
We'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.